Today we're going to get started on installing the Rackum Racing fork locker. In the kit, you're going to see the fork locker itself. And we got the upper collar attachment. The cutout template. And your screws and washers. To install the kit, we're going to need a screw gun. We got a sharp utility knife, Phillips head screwdriver. We have a 2.5 millimeter Allen wrench for the upper collar. We have a drill bit of 5/32, and we also have a 1/2 inch drill bit, pencil, tape measure, and our tape. Next, we need to mark a center line down the fork guard and measure for depth. So we're going to get the upper collar attached here. Go ahead and tighten that up. We're going to get our masking tape and we're going to make a straight line down the front of that fork guard. We're going to use that edge to make that straight line. Now we want to measure the depth of the fork locker that we're going to set it at. But before we do that, we want to make sure that those forks are weighted and settled. Once those forks are settled, we're going to measure from the top hook. And in this case, we're going to measure about 4 inches, 4 3/4 inches. It's about 120 millimeters down. Once we got that measurement done and marked on the tape, we're going to take that fork guard off. Get that cutout template and line it up right with the edge of that tape. And make sure that edge of that tape goes right down the center of those holes. Get that cutout template nice and secure on there with the tape. You don't want it to move around when you're drilling out those holes. Make sure to also hold that cutout guide nice and tight while you're drilling those holes out, just so it doesn't move on you. All right, once we get those holes drilled, we are going to put the screws back in there, and this will help secure it while we cut out the center of that cutout. Once we get those screws in there, put more tape on, holding those screws in there, making it a little bit more secure. And let's take that drill, and we're gonna use that same drill bit, and we're just gonna drill each corner of the inside of the cutout. Just like that. Once we get those corner holes drilled, go ahead and drill 3 or 4 more holes along each side. This will help it along when we do the cutout. All right, get that sharp blade and start running it right along the edge of that cutout guide. Once you get that all cut out, make sure it's all clean of burrs. You want that edge right next to that cutout guide. Now you can go ahead and remove all of the tape and the cutout guide itself. Nice and clean. Now take the 1/2 inch drill bit and just taper those holes. You want to countersink for those washers and screws to sink into. You can use a taper tool or a countersink tool for this. We're just using a 1/2 inch drill bit. Once you got those cleaned up and looking good, let's just test them. Make sure those things go in nice and clean. As you crank it down onto the ForkLocker, it will also suck those down in nice and tight. But just ensure that those things are flush. You don't want them to stick out or get hung up on that upper collar. It can damage those washers or the fork itself. So just ensure those are nice and flush. Looks good. Make sure that there's nothing hanging up around that upper hook. You want to make sure it's free and clear. That lever should snap back nice and fast, nice and tight. To lock the ForkLocker, you want to lift that lever up and then you slide it down, and that cocks it for engagement. Now it's ready to engage. Keep that ForkLocker working like new, we put oil ports on this on both sides. This allows you to service it without removing the fork guard or ForkLocker with any penetrating lube. We recommend before each moto or anytime it feels gritty. Once you get the fork guard back on, we're going to go ahead and align that upper collar with the ForkLocker. Get that all nice and tight. And it is ready to go. Again, to cock it, lift up, slide down, and it's ready to engage.